The Basilica I Temple Expiatori de la Sagrada Família is a large Roman Catholic church in Barcelona, designed by Catalan architect Antoni Gaudí. Although incomplete, the church is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and in November 2010 Pope Benedict XVI consecrated and proclaimed it a minor basilica, as distinct from a cathedral, which must be the seat of a bishop. Construction of Sagrada Família had commenced in 1882 and Gaudí became involved in 1883, taking over the project and transforming it with his architectural and engineering style, combining Gothic and curvilinear Art Nouveau forms. Gaudí devoted his last years to the project, and at the time of his death at age 73 in 1926, less than a quarter of the project was complete. Sagrada Familia's construction progressed slowly, as it relied on private donations and was interrupted by the Spanish Civil War, only to resume intermittent progress in the 1950s. Construction passed the midpoint in 2010, with some of the project's greatest challenges remaining and an anticipated completion date of 2026. The centenary of Gaudí's death. The Basilica has a long history of dividing the citizens of Barcelona over the initial possibility it might compete with Barcelona's cathedral, over Gaudí's design itself, over the possibility that work after Gaudí's death disregarded his design, and the recent proposal to build an underground tunnel of Spain's high-speed rail link to France which could disturb its stability. Describing Sagrada Família, art critic Rainer Zerbst said, "It is probably impossible to find a church building anything like it in the entire history of art," and Paul Goldberger called it the most extraordinary personal interpretation of Gothic architecture since the Middle Ages. The church shares its site with the Sagrada Família School's building, a school originally designed by Gaudí in 1909 for the children of the construction workers. Relocated in 2002 from the eastern corner of the site to the southern corner, the building now houses an exhibition. History. Background: the Basilica of the Sagrada Família was the inspiration of a bookseller, Josep Maria Bocabella, founder of Associación Espiritual de Devotos de San José. After a visit to the Vatican in 1872, Bocabella returned from Italy with the intention of building a church inspired by that at Loreto. The apscript of the church, funded by donations, was begun the 19th of March 1882, on the Festival of St. Joseph, to the design of the architect Francisco de Paula del Villa, whose plan was for a Gothic revival church of a standard form. The apscript was completed before Villa's resignation on the 18th of March 1883, when Gaudí assumed responsibility for its design, which he changed radically. Antoni Gaudí began work on the church in 1883 but was not appointed architect-director until 1884. Construction. On the subject of the extremely long construction period, Gaudí is said to have remarked, "My client is not in a hurry." When Gaudí died in 1926, the basilica was between 15 and 25% complete. After Gaudí's death, work continued under the direction of Domènec Sugrains i Gra until interrupted by the Spanish Civil War in 1936. Parts of the unfinished basilica and Gaudí's models and workshop were destroyed during the war by Catalan anarchists. The present design is based on reconstructed versions of the plans that were burned in a fire as well as on modern adaptations. Since 1940, the architects Francesc Quintana, Isidre Puig Boada, Luis Bonet i Gari and Francesc Cardona have carried on the work. The illumination was designed by Carles Buigas. The current director and son of Luis Bonet, Jordi Bonet i Armengol, has been introducing computers into the design and construction process since the 1980s. Mark Burry of New Zealand serves as executive architect and researcher. Sculptures by J. Busquets, Etsuro Sotu and the controversial Josep Subirachs decorate the fantastical facades. Barcelona-born Jordi Farley took over as chief architect in 2012. The central nave vaulting was completed in 2000 and the main tasks since then have been the construction of the transept vaults and apse. As of 2006, work concentrated on the crossing and supporting structure for the main Tower of Jesus Christ as well as the southern enclosure of the central nave, which will become the glory facade. Construction status: Chief Architect Jordi Farley announced in October 2015 that construction is 70% complete and has entered its final phase of raising 6 immense towers. The towers and most of the church's structure are to be completed in 2026. The centennial of Gaudí's death, decorative elements should be complete by 2030 or 2032. Visitor entrance fees of €15 to €20 finance the annual construction budget of €25 million. Computer-aided design technology has been used to accelerate construction of the building. Current technology allows stone to be shaped off-site by a CNC milling machine, whereas in the 20th century the stone was carved by hand. In 2008, some renowned Catalan architects advocated halting construction, to respect Gaudí's original designs, which, although they were not exhaustive and were partially destroyed, have been partially reconstructed in recent years. A 2010 exhibition, Gaudí Unseen, completing La Sagrada Família, at the German Architecture Museum, Frankfurt am Main, describes the current construction methods and future plans for the Sagrada Família. Avenue Tunnel. Since 2013, Avenue high-speed trains have passed near the Sagrada Família through an underground tunnel that runs beneath the center of Barcelona. The tunnel's construction, which began on the 26th of March 2010, was controversial. The Ministry of Public Works of Spain claimed the project posed no risk to the church. Sagrada Família engineers and architects disagreed, saying there was no guarantee that the tunnel would not affect the stability of the building. The board of the Sagrada Família and the neighborhood association Avenue Pel Litoral had led a campaign against this route for the avenue, without success. In October 2010, the tunnel boring machine reached the church underground under the location of the building's principal facade. Service through the tunnel was inaugurated on 8 January 2013. Track in the tunnel makes use of a system by Edalonstra in which the rails are embedded in an elastic material to dampen vibrations. No damage to the Sagrada Família has been reported to date. Consecration. The main nave was covered and an organ installed in mid-2010, allowing the still unfinished building to be used for religious services. The church was consecrated by Pope Benedict XVI on 7 November 2010 in front of a congregation of 6,500 people. A further 50,000 people followed the consecration mass from outside the Basilica, where more than 100 bishops and 300 priests were on hand to offer Holy Communion. Fire. On 19 April 2011, an arsonist started a small fire in the sacristy which forced the evacuation of tourists and construction workers. The sacristy was damaged, and the fire took 45 minutes to contain.